Howdy, folks, and welcome to another episode of A Heated Review. Today we're going to be talking about a movie that everybody hates that we like, Pearl Harbor. I'm Captain Westicle. This is Shan Chan. Spoiler alert.
If you have not seen Pearl
No.
Harbor and you want to, do not watch this review. There will be tons of spoilers all the way through the end of the movie. We'll be hitting all the major points. Spoiler alert, Pearl Harbor was bombed. Sorry.
A lot of the people that don't like this movie will criticize it for poor historical accuracy. The love story was boring. It's got every cliche in the book. The story is very predictable. The list goes on and on.
And we'll be hitting most of these points and telling our own points of view and maybe even defending it in a lot of points from our point of view.
Now, to be fair, for the people who don't know me, I am a sucker for the 1930s and 40s. So I will watch just about anything that revolves around that time period. However, I still feel that this is an exceptional film, and we will get into that during this video.
I really feel that we should hit this point first, that we are both fans of fictional stories within historical events.
Such as Titanic, which we will probably do in a later review.
Last Samurai is one of your favorite movies.
My all-time favorite movie.
The list goes on. Memoirs of a Geisha is one of my favorite movies of all time. The list goes on. We are a sucker for those types of movies. But we also...
Fictional characters in a historical setting.
Yeah, but we do want it to be well done. We don't just fall for anything. Which is why we'll be hitting different points on this movie to say why we do like this movie. Alright, so we'll start on the biggest point of why people hate this movie. The love triangle between Ben Affleck as Rafe, Josh Hartnett as Danny, and Kate Beckinsale as Evelyn. Now, to me, it was a little bit boring.
The critics will tell you they spent way too much time on the love story and not enough time telling the rest of the story, which is why the movie is so long. And a lot of people think it's boring because they spend too much time on the love story, and yeah.
But I do want some character development. If they didn't have that, the later arguments that I'll have, I wouldn't have without that development.
I agree. Michael Bay went out of his way to make sure that you genuinely care about these characters. And you do. However, the chemistry isn't quite what I'd like. But that doesn't detract from...
The actors aren't quite meshing well. There are some actors, like the stuttering one with the girlfriend that dies. Mm-hmm. Their chemistry was actually really good.
Yes, I agree.
But the main three characters, it didn't quite hit. It felt very forced.
Even Danny and Rafe being best friends kind of felt like it was forced. There was a lot of stuff in there that felt like it was forced. However, and predictable.
Yes.
But that did not detract from the story for me. It's just a little pet peeve that I have. But did it bother me? No. Still love the movie. And the acting was great. The chemistry just wasn't quite there.
For me, the first half with all the backstory I felt was kind of needed, but a little overdone, a little boring, very predictable. I was actually in the theater with my parents when I watched this for the first time, and I was sitting there whispering to my dad and my mom, this is going to happen. He's going to die, but he's not really going to die. She's going to fall in love with his best friend. She's going to get pregnant. He's going to come back. I mean, I said everything word for word. You can ask my mom. I said it before it happened.
However, everybody knew what was going to happen in the Lord of the Rings movies, and they're still awesome.
They are.
It's because of the way it's delivered.
And the chemistry.
And I felt that it was delivered very well in this film, in spite of the fact that the chemistry wasn't quite there for me.
I'm about 50-50. I really did think it was a bit boring, and I can see how people hate the film, because it's hard to get past the first half. But I must say, let's get to the second half. Oh my gosh, makes up for the first half.
Everyone agrees that the 40 minutes or however long it was where they bombed Pearl Harbor is a fantastic piece of filmmaking.
Michael Bay might have movied it up slightly. This is one of the other things that's bothering people is the historical inaccuracies, and uh, the Japanese didn't really bomb the
medical facility.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And really, you gotta take a little bit of liberty when you're making a movie to make it a little bit more exciting. At least he didn't go too far. He did a lot of research to make sure that this was historically accurate.
And for the record, I'm not a Michael Bay fan. However,
me neither.
This is one of my favorite movies by him. The other one being the first Transformers movie. The other one's not so much, and I don't like the Ninja Turtle movies either.
This is actually one of my favorites, and I'd say Bad Boys is probably my other favorite.
Yeah.
I don't like the Transformer movies. I am not a Michael Bay fan whatsoever, except for probably Bad Boys and this. So I'm not trying to defend him in any way because I'm a Michael Bay fan. It's just he actually did his homework, and a lot of people don't give him credit for that.
Yep. Every movie is going to have its flaws.
It is.
But, this one gets a very unfair amount of hate hurled its way, in my opinion.
When other movies of the same genre, like Titanic, had the same amount of inaccuracies with the historical parts of it.
A lot of hate's been thrown that direction as well lately.
And we'll get to that.
Another episode.
Yes. But I'm just saying, it just seems like Michael Bay gets more hate.
Yeah,
for Pearl Harbor.
just for being Michael Bay, really.
Mostly, yeah. And I just don't think it's very called for. And when it comes to, with the bombing, most people say that's the most accurate part. Even the people that scream historical inaccuracy, they say that's the most accurate, even though there is some problems. They mostly say the love story, but I must make out the point that when you're making movies, and you're taking somebody's story and making it into a movie, you have to pay that person. It's going to cost way more to pay for an unknown named person's story to make into a movie than you are to take bits and pieces from 5 different people or couples or whatever and put it into your own story, which makes it your own story, which is what he did.
Valid argument.
With his love triangle.
However, it would be interesting to see a version of Pearl Harbor that was all about historical characters. Like take the main characters of this film and make them people that were actually there or whatever.
The two
that would
pilots,
be a very interesting movie.
The 2 pilots that bombed a whole bunch of, or shot down a whole bunch of planes during the attack, that was based on their part where they went into the planes and
that
bombed.
did happen.
It did happen. There was a couple that actually did fall in love when he was injured and she was a nurse.
No, that happens a lot.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if it was,
but yeah,
completely historical, that would be a great movie too, but in the essence of the time period that this was made, he did what was the most cost efficient for story wise.
Yeah. And let's face it, it is Hollywooded up a little bit.
It is. Alright, the dumbing down of Attack of Pearl Harbor. This was one of the other arguments. There are a couple points that people say was a bit dumbing down, like the guy yelling out, "I cannot swim." That was in the Navy. Or the guy brushing his teeth that rushes out.
In a bath towel.
Yeah, still brushing his teeth. Or, just stuff like that. Well, I have to remind you that as much as we would love to think that all Navy people in that time period knew how to swim, they didn't.
They probably didn't.
They didn't have the same standards that we have today.
And for those of you that do have problems with that scene, we're talking seconds in a 3-hour movie. There's gonna be problems here and there.
And really, I kind of felt for that guy. Here I am forced into a war
and
because
that was the point.
I had to be drafted, and I don't know how to swim. I felt for that guy. I wasn't one of those people screaming out, going, "In the Navy and can't swim?" You were drafted.
To be fair, he was hanging out in Hawaii. If I got drafted by the Navy and I was stationed in Hawaii and there wasn't a whole lot going on, the first thing I would do would be learn how to swim.
That's true.
However, people are lazy by nature, and that probably didn't happen as often as it should have.
As far as the guy brushing his teeth, when the Pearl Harbor attack happened, a lot of people thought it was a prank. It was a training exercise. There was a lot of different things. People didn't believe it. They came rushing on deck doing whatever the heck they happened to be doing and weren't stopping because they're like, oh, this is nothing going on. What? I'm brushing my teeth, you know.
Just another drill.
Just another drill, just another game, just another prank, whatnot. So I think that's kind of pretty realistic. A lot of people don't want to look down because a lot of people think that's looking down on our military, that they would do something like that. But
I guess
I'm
some
sorry.
people could get offended by that, but I don't know. I thought that this movie as a whole made the military look great.
It did.
And Michael Bay does have a thing for that. Look at all the Transformers movies. He always makes the military look awesome.
Then there's the, I'll hit this very quick. There's the Mythbusters things, like bullets can't penetrate water. Okay, not a lot of people knew this when he made this movie. I think we can let him pass on this one little inaccuracy of bullets can't pierce water and still kill as well. Let's just leave it alone.
You also have to be underneath the water a certain amount in order to be safe from the bullets.
You also
and
gotta
a lot of those
realize,
people probably weren't.
And you got to realize those bullets were coming from jets, not just from guns.
Much higher velocity.
That the Mythbusters used on that episode. So we'll give this a pass.
It could happen. It's plausible.
Yes, it's plausible because it's a movie. We'll give it more of a pass. Now, let's talk about the actors that we think were amazing. One that we both agree on is Alec Baldwin.
Oh, yeah.
As Doolittle. Captain or Lieutenant Colonel James Doolittle. That was an amazing job.
He was almost the Captain America of the piece. Even though, Ben Affleck's character was supposed to be that guy, but I didn't buy that quite as much.
No, I bought it from Doolittle.
It was Alec Baldwin that had all the great speeches and the way he delivered those speeches.
Even though they were cliches a lot of the times.
All cliches, but I don't care.
He made them work. Those piercing eyes and that demanding voice, it demanded to listen, to respect, to hear the heart within what he was saying, as most of his parts do, which is why he is casted in a lot of his movies.
And for the people complaining about the cliches, they're there. They're all there. But
completely.
For me, I'm just not bothered by the cliches. For me, I get inspired by the cliches. I guess I'm just old school
if they're done right.
Yeah, if they're done right.
Because if they're done wrong, I think if Alec Baldwin wasn't Doolittle in this piece, a lot of the cliches would have bothered me even more.
Yeah, if it had been somebody that, couldn't deliver the lines nearly as well or whatever.
But everybody knows that Alec Baldwin can deliver speeches even if it's out of a phone book. He's amazing.
Yep. And fantastic in this movie.
Fantastic. Another one that I really enjoyed, personally, is Jon Voight. Jon Voight as
I didn't even recognize him.
FDR.
Yeah.
Beautifully done. A lot of people don't give that credit.
Nope.
They talk about his funny prosthetic chin that he has. I'm sorry, I thought that made him look more the part.
I think that's just people looking to make fun of the movie any way they can. So.
I was inspired when he said the whole, don't tell me what I can't do and stand up.
Do not tell me it cannot be done.
Oh.
I love that line. And again, it's cliche, but
I
love it. I love it.
I teared up. He did it so well. He just put it across so beautifully. Me personally, this might not be shared with my husband here, but I liked Cuba Gooding Jr.'s part. He was very low-key. He didn't have a whole lot of screen time, but I actually liked his character.
He was okay.
It gave some heart. It gave another aspect on it. I almost wish that he was one of the main guys instead of
that would have been interesting.
The other three.
Yeah. And he did a great job. Not much character development there because again, not much screen time.
And I think that's why
Which is why I'm not.
Yeah.
He wasn't on screen enough for me to really care about him. But they did the best they could with what they had.
I think that he did wonderful with what he had, and if he would have been given more, I think a lot more people would have liked the movie because
there's a chance.
It was really inspiring, and it made me tear up when he was on screen with his captain of the ship.
Yeah.
And it's all done, Captain. Oh, beautiful. It gave me chills. So I wish there was more Cuba. Way more. He's a great actor.
Yeah. Agreed.
Let's see here. One of my other ones that my husband might not agree with is Dan Aykroyd. Now, yes, he was an exposition person. He put across a bunch of exposition. But I'm sorry, I felt if you're going to have exposition put across, Dan Aykroyd's the person to do it. Because when he talks, everybody's going to listen. They're going to take in what he's saying. And he made some great points and was able to put into that part a great piece. He wasn't a big part, but as small as it was, I thought he did a great part.
Yeah, it was a really tiny role and not horribly significant from my point of view. I think anybody could have done that and done it just fine. You could throw, Kevin Costner in there and make it just as awesome.
No. I wouldn't have even absorbed half of what it said if it was Kevin Costner.
But,
I don't mind Kevin Costner. I actually
when
like...
it's Dan Aykroyd, I want to hear Dan Aykroyd talking about ectoplasm and stuff like that. I don't want to hear him talking about bombing Pearl Harbor. It's not that he did a bad job in this movie. It's just not my thing.
I'm sorry, but I think Dan Aykroyd did a way better job than Kevin Costner.
He just didn't have a big enough role for me to really care one way or the other who played
I'm trying to look at even the smallest, and I still feel he did a great job. Now, one of the biggest things that we love about the movie is the music.
Best thing about the movie, hands down. Huh. See what I did there?
Because it's...
Movie's written... The
Hans
music's written
Zimmer.
by Hans Zimmer. Yeah.
It's
hands down the best
down.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Well...
Sweeping score. One of Hans Zimmer's finest pieces of music, in my opinion. And he's done a lot of good stuff, as you know. And if you don't know who Hans Zimmer is, look him up. Great music. But this... The piano in this in this film.
We're not talking about the Faith Hill musical piece that was played on the radio.
Okay.
That's just alright. I think it's kind of annoying. He thinks it's okay. But we're talking about just the instrumental music within
This
the
song
movie.
brings all of your emotions straight up into your throat just by listening to the music without anything going on the screen. No, I think without that music, this movie would be as bad as everybody says.
It might be.
It might be, yeah. Just a phenomenal piece of music. Love it.
Now, we'll go toward the end of the movie. Now, one of the things I wanted to mention real quick is I've heard a lot of critics say about how, with the historical inaccuracies, that the line was not said...
What line?
This line. About the waking of the sleeping dragon. Say it for me.
I fear all we have accomplished here is to awaken the sleeping dragon, or something along those lines.
Yeah, it's
by
something.
the commander on the Japanese boat.
I believe it was from the Mortal Kombat movies guy that said it, maybe.
I think it was actually Mako.
Oh, no, it was Mako.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. It was Mako. Great actor, by the way.
Mm-hmm. He played Bob in The Last Samurai.
Yeah, I know. I love Bob. Anyways, I've heard a lot of critics say that never happened. I'm sorry, but I have to disagree. I have watched many World War II...
She's done some research on this, by the way.
World War II actual History Channel shows, like World War II in color and Complete World War II. I have been watching these, and all of them say that he said this. And yet I see many critics...
That's why it was in the movie.
Yeah, many critics say, when they're critiquing this movie, that is never said. That is a wrong... Oh, I want to punch you. I'm sorry, but do your homework.
We're back to people bashing the movie simply because it's a Michael Bay movie. And I feel that is extremely unfair.
Now, moving along, we come to the Doolittle raid. Now, this is it's a lot more Alec Baldwin. Of course, we're going to love it. But
yeah,
the Doolittle
even the speech
raid,
he gives over the radio at the end when they're running out of gas is pretty good.
It's beautiful. Now, this is where I think that the love triangle story really got good for me. Now, I started enjoying it...
Again, very predictable.
Yes, still
but
predictable.
We don't care.
Still predictable. Once the Pearl Harbor attack happened, I started caring. But when the Doolittle raid happened, I was invested in this love triangle. That's when I really was like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? I know it's going to happen, but are they really going to do it?
One of them is going to die. It was just a question of which one.
I knew which one.
I wasn't sure.
Oh, no. She was pregnant. Yeah, with Danny's. No, it was going to be Danny. Because she was pregnant with Danny's son. I knew it was going to be. I predicted every single moment of the love triangle. But I still cried.
Me too.
When Rafe,
and I still do every time I watch it.
When Rafe holds Danny and says, you can't because you're going to be a father. And he goes, no, you are. Whatever the words are, I choke up just thinking about it.
I even choke up at the end scene where Ben Affleck comes out and they've got their little kid there, and he's like, "Hey, Dan, you want to go flying?" They take off in a little biplane, and the Hans Zimmer music plays, and it's like, because it's just that good.
Yes, but I think it's more in the Doolittle.
So cliche, but so well done. You don't care about the cliches. At least we don't.
No. And that's mainly most of the points. I mean, I will say that sometimes I like to fast forward to halfway through the movie right before the Pearl Harbor raid and watch it from there.
She likes watching the raid just over and over again. Yeah.
Oh, I'll watch from Pearl Harbor to the end every single time. The first half I will.
Here's the thing.
I will miss.
If this was not a Michael Bay movie, what if it was directed by Steven Spielberg or something? Do you think it would get all the criticism that it gets?
No.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so either.
I think
it's because it's Michael Bay.
Yeah, and even when the movie came out, when the movie first came out, it made tons of money. Everybody liked it. Nobody started complaining about it until it had been out for several years, and then, Transformers came along, and then they're like, "Oh, Michael Bay, he sucks. Everything he's done sucks, so we need to go back and bash Pearl Harbor."
My stepfather is a big war fanatic. He watches the History Channel. He does all kinds of reading. He does his homework. He went into Pearl Harbor completely skeptical. He's like, they're going to get everything wrong. The planes are going to be wrong. The fights are going to be wrong. The speeches. This is going to suck. He went in